So this video sounded interesting, and this creator makes pretty decent videos. So check it out.
And you go to school and you have all these friends that have the same interests as you. You go home after school with the excitement that you'll get to meet all your friends in this other world by logging into your favorite game and playing together for hours on end until your mom yells at you to go to bed. Or maybe the people in your school don't play games with you, but you're such a social kid and you seem to fit in wherever you go. You find it easy to fit in with groups of people online who you can share games with. But as the years go on and you get older, you start to notice that the people that you regularly hang out with in-game are not coming online as regularly as you are. Maybe they're playing while you're busy, or some eventually log out for the last time without warning and are never seen again.
This is a serious problem in World of Warcraft. And Hershey, I know you've played for a long time, and so you've probably experienced this as well. But that like thing that ends up happening where all of a sudden you're the only one in your entire friend group that plays the game is really unsettling, and it really, really sucks. It's one of the things that I like so much about Classic as opposed to retail is that in Classic you're so incentivized to make communities. I mean, obviously I've had Ice for 6 years now. Well, it'll be 6 years in August. Um, and we have a phenomenal community. But that's something that's taken us a long time to build, and I've put a lot of effort into that. But it's also, I think it's the best thing about WoW, at least WoW Classic.
Lose touch with these people because as your life gets busier, you don't really have time to reply to the Skype message that's been sitting in your notification for weeks. And when Skype eventually became outdated, not everybody knew that you moved on
R.I.P. Skype. Pour out some liquor for Skype.
to Discord or other socials to stay in contact with you. Maybe you stop checking messages there too. Your life getting busier doesn't necessarily mean that you stop liking the hobbies and things that you loved as a kid. So what happens if you still want to play World of Warcraft but all your friends are gone and you're not somebody who can easily fit in and make
Do not on my stream ever again say that Legion was a decade ago, or I will have a legitimate mental breakdown on stream. That is so weird to even hear that. I know in my head that it's true, but I don't want to deal with the reality that that is what has happened in my life at this point, okay? Legion was not 10 years ago. Legion was a few years ago. Holy shit. How did that happen?
friends online anymore? What if you can't keep up with guilds and other players? Do you get to enjoy the game at all? Is World of Warcraft just done for you at this stage? Today we're going to talk about World of Warcraft as a solo experience. What is it like to play the game without friends or other people in general? Before we get started, hi, my name is Angelika, and I actually do have friends.
Don't say that.
They're all here. You know, when this exact scenario happened to me, and I realized that I was all alone.
Those
You know, when this
Those look like a lot of my wife's friends as well, dude.
exact scenario happened to me, and I realized that I was all alone in Azeroth. I was kind of sad about it. It sucks not to be able to share this world with other people, especially if that's all you've known. Now, when I first started playing WoW, I was playing it by myself for a long time because I couldn't speak enough English to interact with people in a meaningful way, but that was fine.
Gotta clip
However,
that and
when I
post it in our
finally got to
Discord.
embrace the social element of the game to its full capacity, I realized that when I didn't have it, I really missed it. But as more time passed and I still had the craving to continue playing WoW just because I really love the world and I find comfort in going back to it, I realized that World of Warcraft is perfectly fine as a solo experience. In fact, I think it lets you view the world from a different perspective and arguably even enjoy your time there a lot more. A lot of people don't really like World of Warcraft because of its grindy element. You could say that all the quests are exactly the same. You either have to gather X amount of this thing or slay Y amount of that thing, deliver something, speak to someone, a constant back and forth involving a lot of running around at a moderately slow pace until you reach level 40, and then at a slightly quicker pace, if you're able to afford it, that is. I think that every quest being the same, more or less, makes it kinda therapeutic. You don't really have to think too.
Oh, didn't mean to hit that. I think you're on it. That's good because I don't know how to do clips really. I have to do them after I'm done with the stream because I can't figure out how it works. So what she's saying in this video is basically that enjoying World of Warcraft solo is a very therapeutic experience because it's in assuming she's specifically talking about Classic WoW because all of these clips have been in Classic WoW. Although I do think that retail is a significantly better solo player experience. I mean, that's sort of how it's been designed, right? Is for the solo player to be able to have more to do. Um, what I always say is that, and I think this is a pretty good summation of the current state of the games, the two different versions, is that retail is a better game, but classic is a far superior MMO. And so it really just depends on what you want. But this is an interesting point of view, and I know that there's some people who play like this, where they don't join a guild, they just do everything by themselves. They kind of go super slow, they just level over time, they explore all the zones. I've tried to do this, it's not for me, but I can see from someone who likes to play, like more chill games, maybe some Animal Crossing fans, that why they could really enjoy classic WoW like this. Okay, let me see this clip. So you posted it in chat. I don't even
When
know how
this
you do
exact
that.
scenario happened to me, and I realized that I was all alone.
Those
When this
those look like a lot of my wife's friends as well, dude. Dude, she's not gonna love that clip, bro. Oh, that's funny.
too much about what you're doing. You can just go on autopilot and fully immerse yourself in the forests, mountains,
Wife shade
valleys,
thread.
and plains of Azeroth. There's no pressure to keep up with anyone or anything. The world moves around you, but you have your own path ahead that will take you where you want to go in your own time. Though this was always a possibility, I only really started to view the world that way after playing Classic in hardcore. I started this experience myself before the official
All right,
hardcore.
so this is the caveat. Hardcore WoW is. Have you any of you guys in chat played hardcore WoW before? Because the experience is so interesting and so unique, especially as you get around level 30 to level 40. It like because we've min-maxed and hyper-optimized games to the point that we have in 2025. Like when you're leveling in Classic, you do not play with professions. You don't go out of your way to do class quests. You don't do any of that stuff. But in hardcore, you're hyper incentivized to engage with those game systems, and it makes it really, really fun. That's interesting. Hardcore almost ruined the game. Were you just like super pissed off when you died or something, or how did that happen? I keep meaning to log in to play one character until I die and then never touch it again. Yeah, dude, it's a really good time because it's like WoW. Hardcore WoW is the quintessential RPG experience because you're so concerned about losing all of your progress on a character that you do every little thing to give yourself power. Like, are you normally going to do the warrior quest for the bloodstained halberd? Like, no, you're not. But in hardcore, you'll go out of your way to do it because this item has a lot of stamina on it, right? Or like you're going to level up engineering because you need target dummies as a warrior because you have no get out of jail option. And so it really makes you engage with that. You want to have buffs on because while 10 stamina is not a lot, it's more than 0, and if that saves you, you just save so much progress. So what do? You go out and fish and you learn how to cook and you engage with all of these really fun systems in the game that you normally would skip because it's easier just to go back when you're level 60 and then engage with those systems, right? Because you have so many more resources. But it's worth the grind earlier in hardcore, which makes it a lot of fun. I like the aspect of it, but so afraid of dying that I stopped leveling around 27. Yeah, I mean the anxiety is very real, but that's one of the things that makes it so fun, right? Because if you pull some shit that like you shouldn't be pulling and then you get out of there, my God, what a rush! Because you know that when your character dies, you're gone. That's it. End of the freaking line. Unless you're an OnlyFans, apparently, and then you can come back. Just then. It's more immersive if you're actually fearing for your life. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Before the hardcore servers went live, there was a hardcore add-on. I don't know if you guys paid any attention to that whole thing. Um, and there were all sorts of challenges baked into the hardcore game. It just reminded me of what you said when you said it's more immersive, because one of the challenge was first-person view, and you had to level from 1 to 60 in first person, which is just like, could you even imagine in Warcraft leveling from 1 to 60 in first-person mode? My God.
servers launched by using the add-on. This was
There
a
it is.
third-party
There's the add-on right there. This is what I'm talking about.
add-on created specifically for players who wanted to experience the game this way, and some even say that this was better than the actual hardcore servers, but I'll mention more on that later.
In a lot of ways it was, because the extra challenges and everything was pretty cool. I played with the add-on before official hardcore. Yeah, I think a lot of people did. What's up, Wander?
The add-on had its own community website, and there you could see the rules that you needed to follow in order for it to be an authentic, hardcore experience. The rules included things like no auction house, no player-to-player mail or trading. You could only run each dungeon once per character.
Okay, so that one rule in particular, I think, is a really good rule, and we've been talking about this a lot in SOD. What people have found out is that dungeon spamming is the most optimal way to level up, provided that you have 4 other people with you who are willing to put in the same amount of time and effort. So what we did in SOD, because it was bracketed, it was like 25 and then 40 and then 50 and then 60. 50 bracket is terrible, by the way, like absolutely horrible. The 25 bracket and 40 bracket were legitimately pretty fun, but what we did is we just sat in, stockades all day, and we sat in Scarlet Monastery all day. We weren't actually leveling, right? We're not like out in the world, which is what they kind of wanted to do. And so implementing something like this into Classic while they're going to phase content based on your level, I actually think is a really good idea. I've even gone as far to talk about like perhaps adding some type of daily dungeon into Classic while you're leveling. And if they really wanted to make it simple, they wouldn't even have to make it so that it's a specific dungeon at a certain level range. Just say you can do any dungeon that's appropriate level, and when you kill the last boss, get an item, you turn it in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and you get this massive boost of XP. Because outside of the first time that you go into a dungeon in Classic, doing the dungeons, because you have to run out there, the dungeons kind of take a little bit longer. It's not really worth the XP unless you're going to spam it. So giving people a reason to go out into the dungeons could be really nice. And then it would kind of kill 2 birds with one stone, because then you would have more people out in the world leveling, which is really what people want in Classic, and it's really good for the game. I don't have the same fear because I wouldn't actually lose the character. Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, you could just transfer to a new server now. It's horrible once you hit the Nomor range. The Nomor wasn't so bad. Like 40 itself was okay, and Nomergon as a dungeon was actually really fun. Because it wasn't just like you zerg every single boss in Nomer. Like the bosses in Nomer had real mechanics, and if you didn't follow them, like they would just kill you, which was good. Um, which probably sounds stupid talking to a retail player. Like, of course, if you don't do mechanics, you die. But in Classic, that's not really the case. Like, maybe you'll die, or maybe you can just zerg through the fights and, not have to worry about it. But Nomer wasn't bad, but it was everything after Nomer was like, yeah, was not ideal. And Sunken Temple was dog shit. Almost killed the game. Really, really bad.
But the biggest thing for me was the rule about no grouping, unless you're going to a dungeon. I couldn't understand how people managed without grouping, especially in a death delete scenario. Though it's intimidating, once you get started, you realize that this is actually one of the best ways to enjoy the game, especially now.
Dude, side note, when she was saying these were her friends, I thought she was talking about like this urn. And I was like, yo, that's dark. Like, these are where all your friends are at? You've been collecting them in an urn? Not good.
Years later, when the Classic experience has actually started to get a bit stale for people. Unless you're playing on Turtle WoW, those guys never seem to complain about anything. But you do start to look at the world in a completely different way. World of Warcraft being a social game, no grouping was completely unfathomable to me. And yet, it's 100% possible and in a lot of ways, more fun. First of all, no grouping in a hardcore scenario leaves you in a state where the only person you can rely on is yourself. There's no LFM Hogger, no anyone for Tharl Zun, and certainly no LFG Fenris Isle. This, especially in a hardcore scenario, forces you to get really good at your class. Really try and learn how to get the most out of your abilities at any given level, maybe even consider professions to get you through, since you can't use the auction house or trade with other people, so you have to do everything by yourself. In group scenarios, I feel like very often, particularly DP.
Also, I feel like if you're going to do hardcore, now you need to do solo self-found. Now that the option is available to you. Because she's talking about like not being able to use the auction house and stuff, which is only a rule if you play solo self-found. But I think if you're doing hardcore, it doesn't really make sense to not do solo self-found. Like, you should just opt in for that.
DPS classes can get away with doing the bare minimum. If you're someone like a hunter or a mage, you don't really have to do a whole lot and you're still able to top DPS meters easily. There's no real need for you to get good at your class, you can rely on other people, and you probably don't even need to fully understand what you're doing at all, and nobody would even notice. When you're alone and you're facing a camp of gnolls or maybe an elite mob for a quest, you have to start using a lot more of your brain to figure out how to defeat the mobs and get out of there alive. You have to exhaust all your resources, plan ahead, and really survive. You need to be making decisions all the time. Is that quest that's in a cave really worth it, or are you going to get whooped when too many mobs respawn at the same time and find you frolicking about? It's all on
One of the cool things, and yeah, Murmur was a pain in the ass. TBC. It is a pain in the ass on TBC re-release. They put in the pre-nerf versions of everything. Hi, what's going on? Yeah. I was saying I wanted to eat bad food, but not really though, because it's really bad for you. Yeah, that was pretend food. Was it good when you were pretending that we were gonna eat it? Hershey made a really good clip about you on my stream. You just have to wait and see. Hershey says hi. She says hi. He's a subscriber to my channel. Because Arcanist gifted 30 subs to everyone. Let me finish this and I'll come grab you. I'll just be like 5 hours. Okay. Go to where? You can't actually eat sushi and cookies. It's really bad for you. I didn't mean to get your hopes up. You can eat whatever you want. I'm just not gonna eat that. I love you. I'm sorry. I jokingly texted my wife like sushi and crumble cookies, which of course I'm not really gonna eat because I'm trying to get back into fight shape here. I guess she took it seriously, and so now she really wants sushi and crumble. So she can buy that for herself. I can't eat it. Yeah, Sunken Temple was horrible. It's killed the game.
on you, and there are real stakes.
Oh, this is a cool feature of hardcore. That's what I stopped the video initially for. I really like the fact that you have to like tactically choose which opponents and which enemies you're going to engage with and which zones you're going to go into, because it's like, oh, you know, I'm level 13 and I could go into this cave, but I'm 20% away from a level. Maybe I'll just grind to 14, go get my new skills, and then go into the cave because it's much safer, right? And so it makes you make all these micro decisions that I feel like is very, very good as a part of an RPG.
Because if you make a mistake, you will lose your character right there in that stupid cave. This kind of self-reliance really makes you appreciate playing solo. You're responsible for you. Nobody's holding you back, and you're also able to play the game at your own pace. One thought that I had about playing solo is that you're straight up unable to do certain quests. For example, if you're leveling in Redridge, there are several elite quests there that are kind of a big deal in terms of experience that you get there, and you really need like a dungeon-sized group to get through those. It's true that some scenarios are best avoided when you're by yourself, so you instead get to experience more of the world. Typically, when you're leveling, you have sort of a choice.
Yeah, that's 100% true. When you're playing hardcore, there are some quests that you like, they pop up and you're like, no, just not worth it. It's just not worth the risk of potentially losing your character to get that extra XP. Okay. All right, get some drinks. Get some more ground beef. Thanks, babe.
In terms of the zones that you're going to cover in
Sorry for baiting you.
any particular level bracket. Like, you can choose
I baited Charlie with sushi and cookies. Now I have to deliver at some point. You guys see what I did to myself?
between Westfall, Darkshore, or Loch Modan. Or if you're Horde, you might be looking at the Barrens or Silverpine Forest. When you're by yourself, especially in hardcore, you might actually opt to do all of the zones. For example, when you're questing in Westfall, starting at say level 11, you eventually get to a point when you feel a little underleveled, as the quests that you're doing at level 15 are in areas where a bunch of level 18 mobs are walking around. That might not be a huge difference, but in a hardcore scenario, if you have that level 18 and any other mob attacking you at the same time, you might be cooked. So you take a step back, travel to Darkshore. Take the quests that are available there for level 11 onwards, and with the XP you gather, you're then able to return to Westfall and pick up where you left off. I feel like this makes leveling more of a journey and more of an adventure. You're covering more ground within a particular level bracket. If you're taking advantage of any XP that you can get more or less safely, you might also discover quests in areas of the game that you would have otherwise ignored because you leveled too quickly for them. One such example for me was a quest that you can get between the wetlands and the Arathi Highlands. I always skip this.
Dude, there are so many little quests. Classic WoW had so much love baked into it because if you guys are unaware, I'm sure a lot of you guys know this, but like when they were developing Classic WoW, they were basically a bunch of RuneScape nerds that loved RuneScape so much that they wanted to make their own game, right? That was the dev team. And so they put so much like love and care into this game. There are so many little self-contained quest lines throughout Classic WoW all over the world that are just so cool. And Cataclysm actually got rid of a lot of them, which really sucks. But there are all these little that you might not stop to go do them because they might not give like a ton of XP or any good rewards, but they have pretty good stories, and then the characters will pop up later. It's really really cool.
Quest because it was on like a broken off part of the bridge that's really hard to get to. You have to do like really weird parkour to get to it. It had an unusually high amount of XP for it being just a speak to this other NPC in this safe location quest, so I was determined to get it. I was at a bit of a standstill in hardcore in terms of safe quests that I could do without dying, so it was a decent option. Not without its risks, however. The first time I tried it, I nearly had a heart attack. Fell all the way down, but I realized it's more or less safe. I tried it.
What was the plan here? Like like what was she trying to jump from here to there? Like what
I nearly
was?
had a heart attack. Fell all the way down, but I realized it's.
I'm hoping that that is just a video capture of her doing a reenactment of what happened, but I really want them to clean up Cataclysm and kind of restore the how it was. We've been in post-Cata for longer than we had the classic world. Yeah, 100% true. And Cata ruined a lot of really cool zones. Like the one that always stands out to me is Thousand Needles. Thousand Needles is such a cool zone, and Cataclysm just made it like horrible, like really really bad. But there's all sorts of zones that Cataclysm did that too, and the old world is beautiful. There's so much charm to old vanilla, and we just lost it because Deathwing's a dick. Yeah, Aberdeen, bro. Flooding Aberdeen is like, dude, man. What a legendary zone, bro. Absolutely goated zone. This is such a fun area, and the entire place is just packed with quests. I have never played Alliance before. This character is the first time I have ever played Alliance, the one that I'm playing on SOD right now, and we had such a blast in Aberdeen. You know, like when we were leveling up to 25. This was goated. Like this whole zone, man, so good. The fact that that's not in the game anymore is a travesty. And there are so many quests there too. Ugh, Blizzard.
More or less safe. You don't die, you end up on water. If you fall right, there is a bit of a platform just before the water that you can land on. Now, I was doing this for a very long time because when you fell into the water, you also had to swim up and go all the way around up the mountain and
I think there's some pretty nasty enemies up here too. There's like some gnomes up here who have engineering skills.
through a dark iron dwarf camp. So again, it
Dwarves,
wasn't
rather.
the safest.
Yeah.
It was okay, it was manageable. I eventually did succeed. As you can see, it was quite exciting. I don't remember the last time I was this excited about WoW in a group setting, so for me, this sort of
That's
solo, hardcore gameplay really revived the game. I was
Cat
really
ears and
happy.
all.
And
That's
in
awesome.
general, getting things done yourself and not dying
Bone,
in the process.
Bone Francois in the chat. What's up, brother? Been a minute since I've even seen you. First time chatter and you're already subbed. You can thank Arcanist for that. Deathwing also had a chance to breathe fire on the entire zone and then you can't rest for about 2 minutes or you will die instantly. Is that true? That in Cataclysm? Dude, I don't remember that in Cataclysm. I was Horde. What in the hell? Were there Horde zones where that happened? You know what? I didn't level a character in Cataclysm, though. I just kept playing my Hunter, and so I just did the in-game content. That's crazy. He would just come by and kill you? Dude, I gotta look that up. All zones? Just it had to just been the leveling zones though, right? What do I even type in for this? Look up stood in fire achievement.
Hey, hey guys,
I always tried to get the achievement for that, but never got it during Kata.
take a look. Deathwing is here. It is
It was a video from 14 years ago.
all right now. So now we just gotta look for Deathwing. We're going to get the achievement stood in the fire. And this is what's happening when Deathwing is flying over a zone. So definitely let's keep an eye out on where Deathwing is coming from. I'm hoping to catch him. There we go, there we go.
Oh
I
shit!
should probably get standing in it. Isn't it awesome? Oh yeah! Oh, stood in the fire.
That's actually kind of cool.
Woohoo!
I'm not gonna lie, that's actually pretty sick.
It certainly worked.
I'm sure that was like extremely annoying for people trying to play the game and level, but that actually is kind of a cool RPG element of the game. I don't hate that. I don't remember leveling in the like 80 to 90 zones, or 80, was it 85? Whatever it was back then. I don't remember that happening in the higher level zones. Oh, except 80 to 85. Okay. Ended up dying over 100 times the Deathwing during Classic. That is insane. During Cata Classic, that is nuts. Are you like being sarcastic, or did you literally die 100 times? That's if you died 100 times, that's crazy.
Process was a new kind of rewarding and special, something that no matter how many friends I played with, I just hadn't
All I did in Wrath was PvP on my Hunter, and so when Kata came out, I literally just tried to rush 5 levels and then immediately get into the arena. That was my entire goal.
experienced.
And then do LFG, because LFG was really good in Cataclysm, especially if you PvP'd, so. Yeah, always when I was farming, that sucks. If you were there and you were a level like 85 in a leveling zone and Deathwing came by, would you die or would you survive the Flame Breath?
In WoW for a long time. This was my experience with the add-on. They of course did later release the official hardcore servers, and those didn't restrict player-to-player mail, the auction house, trading, or grouping. I think that this diminished the hardcore experience. It was definitely more hardcore if you were following the add-on. Blizzard seemed to kind of embrace this solo player initiative by adding something called the self-found mode. This did restrict the auction house, mail, and trading, but it didn't restrict grouping, which is why I also personally think that the add-on and the rules that they had there were superior. Just if we're speaking of a more hardcore experience. And this has been my experience as a solo player. Maybe if you're someone like me and you've been playing the game for years, since childhood, as an adult, you'll enjoy the solo experience a lot more. It's sad to think about all the people that you used to hang out with in game that just logged out one day and never came back. But it's nice to remember all the good times with guildmates and just other people you meet in the world and had all these fun interactions with. WoW has always been a social game, but I feel like modern advances in social media and how accessible communication is now really changes the way we interact with people in game. I think that now we are oversaturated with all the different ways in which we can communicate, and I find that even if you look for interaction in WoW these days, people are a lot less responsive and tend to stick to themselves anyway. So becoming a solo player may not have even been a you thing, it's just the landscape isn't the same anymore. But hopefully after this video you can see that it's still possible to get enjoyment out of WoW, just in a different capacity. Also, there's nothing wrong with spending time on your own and learning how to enjoy things for yourself and by yourself. I feel like if you learn to enjoy doing some things alone, in the long run, you'll be able to build more meaningful friendships and relationships in the game and in the real world. After all, if you don't like spending time with yourself, why would anyone else enjoy your company? And that about covers it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, as always, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Big shout out to my channel members. You guys are great. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all in the next video. Be seeing you. Bye.
Typical girl WoW streamer. But that was a pretty good video. To her last point, I would say people need to join guilds, man. There's like this subset of people in World of Warcraft. Really niche Elder Scrolls video about clothes, jewelry, and art. Yeah. No, I've watched a few of her videos. She does make some pretty good content. Um, I think that the this whole like you play World of Warcraft by yourself. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, there's nothing wrong with anything. You can play the game however you want. It's what would what would Cap Tanks always say to us, Bone? Don't tell me how to play my $15 a month. Fair enough. But you're gonna have more fun playing the game with a guild. I'll just tell you right now. Like, and I think that pretty much goes for everyone. Dude, it's so much better in a guild. Like, in our guild, dude, when you join our guild, okay, we have about 60, 70 different characters between, I don't know, maybe 35 raiders and sod. But then we have another arm of our guild over an anniversary that has 4 40-man teams clearing like content. We have so many individual people in our guild, and there's so many different groups of people who talk to each other and hang out. Like, you're gonna, especially if you join a guild like ours, like, you're gonna find people to hang out with, and the game is so much better than that. I think, yeah, that's why you play the game now, basically. Dude, we have 5 teams now. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So I don't even know. I didn't even know that. How do you know that? How do you know that? And I don't know that. I think that like the best content that WoW has to offer is in a community, and yeah, you can play it alone, but man, you're really missing out. Like I highly recommend everybody to find a guild and go play with a guild. There's a lot of us to your point, Wander. Like I know for a fact that there's a handful of officers that would have quit the game a long time ago, but we're Team Six is on the actually, but they don't want to though because like we have so many people that we've been playing with for 4 5 6 years almost, and so it's like, well, I don't just say goodbye to the game, I say goodbye to my friends, and I'm not really ready to do that, and I'm not ready to do that. Maybe I will eventually, but not yet. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, you can certainly play it alone, but it's, in my opinion, it is not where you're going to get the most enjoyment out of it. She has a video where she said she couldn't get into a guild in the EU servers because she immigrated from Russia to Ireland and knew zero English, and WoW taught her English. That's fascinating because she speaks English pretty damn well based off of that video. It's the people that keep you here for sure, agreed. Well, easy bake, what am I supposed to do without you, brother? You know? You coming to BWL here in 20 minutes? I know that you are, right? That's why you said that. It's for sure the people that keep you going though, without question. If you don't have a good group of people to play with, it's like, what is the point, you know?